You have been listening to UAW President Shawn Fain. This is live as he addresses not just union members who are on strike, but those who potentially could go on strike and the American public as a whole, because these auto strikes have far-reaching implications across the country and on the supply chain. And when you go to buy a car and prices, right, all of these different aspects will be impacted. It took a moment before he got to the stand-up strike movement. He says this is not just about the big three, but that is the focus right now. And he said we are focused on winning record contracts after years of record profits for the big three auto dealers. And he said Stellantis and GM still need some pushing. I want to bring back Marick Masters. He is a professor of management at Wayne State University in Detroit, one of the plants on strike. He's not backing down. We've got this noon deadline for the big three to come up with substantial progress and a fair agreement. What are you picking up on from the UAW president, Fain?
Well, I think they're pretty much where they have been for the past several days. And as long as this schism remains, he's going to take the next steps, which he believes are necessary to amp up the pressure and to hopefully get the companies, from his perspective, concede what he wants. I don't know that that's going to work at this point in time. I think the companies are pretty much locked into their positions on certain issues and are not going to move away from them. And until the union concedes on certain things, I don't think an agreement is in the realm of possibility.
And what, for the auto dealers' part, are they stuck on? What won't they move?
Well, I think the companies won't move on retiree health care. They won't move on defined benefit pension plans. They won't move on the jobs bank. They're hesitant about restoration fully of the cost of living allowance. They're hesitant about the 32-hour work week. And they're hesitant about making the kinds of wage increases at 40%, 46%. I think they can put a lot of money in the workers' pockets, but it's not going to be quite that much. I wouldn't be surprised to see an agreement that settled around 30% wage increases with some hefty lump sum payments and perhaps an embellishment in their profit sharing plan. But if you're going to those items that they want to restore that they gave up in bankruptcy, that is a non-starter.
The UAW has a strike fund of more than $800 million. The union members say we pay our dues for moments like this. So how long, with that much money in the coffers, in the bank, ready to go, could this continue?
Well, if it were a company-wide strike, you would be able to dissipate that strike fund relatively quickly. It would last, several weeks. But it's not going to last more than 2 or 3 months without being seriously eroded if you have company-wide strikes. And I think the issue now is, are these workers that are laid off as a result of strikes going to be eligible for unemployment compensation? And I think the central sense is now that in many states, such as Michigan, they're not going to be, and therefore the union is not going to be able to avoid having to make strike payments. Obviously, that question will be litigated and challenged. There may be legislative action to correct it. But the union's going to incur some pretty heavy costs as more workers get unemployed and they have to provide strike benefits to them.
Real quickly, I'm out of time, but I've just been told that the union president, Fain, said that 38 locations in 20 states will now be joining the picket line, in addition to the 3 plants that are already on strike. Your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, he has ramped it up significantly. And this is what I expected him to do. And he has, by an order of magnitude, I would say, elevated the pressure on the company. So he's heightened the pace. And obviously, he doesn't want this strike to last a long time. And he wants to make certain that the companies feel as much pressure as possible and see if this strategy works. That remains to be seen.
All right. And you can see on the right of your screen those 38 locations in 20 states that are now impacted. Those are parts and distribution centers. Professor Masters, really appreciate your insight this morning. I'll ask that you stick around if somebody already hasn't as we continue to follow this. Appreciate your time.
I will. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right, we'll have you on speed dial. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.